Hello, my name's Brianna Mavis, and my Tumblr handle is bookwormBrianna. On my Tumblr, I have a blog where I discuss the Cal Leandros series by Rob Thurman, and I talk about the issue of humanity within the novels and how fans address it through fanfiction. So today I'll be talking about Cal and Nico, the two main protagonists and brothers of the series, and the way their relationship addresses the issue of humanity, both in the books and through fanfiction. So first, the main way in which their characters' humanity is brought out or emphasized is in instances which they're in mortal danger, either in sickness because they're injured, or they're fighting for their lives and it's not going well. So we'll talk first about when Cal is the one who's sick or injured. Interestingly, in the books, he does get injured a few times, which is a problem, but he's almost never sick. Those are the ones in fan fiction mostly, because Cal is pretty much invulnerable to sickness, but fans really like to make him sick, so But the treatment's pretty much the same. The treatment of his humanity, so it's generalizable. So one most notable instance of Cal's humanity is when Nico has to stab him in the end of Nightlife because he is being possessed. Cal's possessed, and he's opening a gate to the past where the Off are going to come and take over the world. So obviously Nico has to stop him. However, in order to do this, Nico almost has to put aside his humanity to save humanity. The only way he's going to be able to kill his brother, or at least injure him severely enough that he can't continue to keep the gate open, is to stab him, and he has to stab his brother. So that's hard for any human to do. So in this scene emphasizes, interestingly, Cal's mortality and humanity, because he's vulnerable. His off genes are not going to save him this time. He's bleeding out. He's dying. It's pretty intense. So this emphasis actually happens nearly every time Cal is sick or injured, because his mortality, which makes him more human, is brought out. Though it also brings out his monster side, because they have to talk about where they're going to get him treatment. He can't go to a normal doctor or hospital because his insides are not human. So that often is an issue as well. So when he's sick or injured, it actually emphasizes the duality of Cal's nature, and his, both his human and monster side. And Nico is often the caretaker. He's pretty much, normal human, kind of a mom whenever that happens, except for the time in which he has to, stab Cal, which actually detracts from his humanity. Interestingly, when Nico is the one who is sick or injured, both his and Cal's humanity is emphasized. So, when Nico's is because, again, he's vulnerable, he's not invincible, despite his every effort to be the best fighter, ever. But he can be injured, and he is, sometimes. But Cal's humanity is emphasized because he becomes the caretaker and almost mother figure as well, forcing Nico to eat, rest, take his medication, etc., oftentimes when Nico doesn't want to, because he's trying to be all stoic super ninja. So in those moments, you can almost forget that Cal is, in fact, half off and a monster, not entirely human. Because in those scenes, he is just the brother, just human. And in the final instance in which Cal and Nico's humanity is addressed is when they're fighting, and it's going badly. Nico becomes less human, actually, in these scenes, more stoic, robotic, kind of a killing machine. Cal, up to a certain point, actually, is more human-seeming. He becomes hot-headed and snarky and sarcastic, and more relatable than Nico. Although this only happens to the point in which Cal's off genes turn into self-preservation mode, and he goes kind of berserk. But it still does emphasize that Cal can be just as human, or even more human-seeming, than his entirely human brother. It just makes the point that humanity is not just about genes. It's about the choices a person or half-person makes and actions that they take, that humans can be just as monstrous or even more monstrous than the so-called monsters. So next time on my Tumblr, I'll be talking about the non-human characters in the books and how their humanity is discussed. So look for it. Thanks.